Welcome to Tech News Today, a podcast about keeping you informed and empowered by giving you the latest tech stories that impact your daily life. It's Friday, September 14th, and I'm Spike Spangle. Coming up in a bit, you need to secure your system ASAP with these Patch Tuesday updates. Plus, you're going to love this new smart mirror that would be perfect for any bathroom. And cybercriminals are making ransomware attacks more sophisticated to target specific people. All that and more in Tech News Today from Commando.com. We start with an important reminder to all Windows users. It's time for that monthly reminder that you need to update your system. That's because Microsoft released its September Patch Tuesday update this week, and this one fixes 61 security flaws. 17 of those flaws are rated as critical. The biggest threat is a zero-day vulnerability that could compromise your entire system. As usual, another major flaw was found in Adobe Flash Player. Don't worry, that one is fixed with this update too. Some other noteworthy patches include fixes for remote code execution bugs in Word and Excel, and a fix for another critical remote code execution vulnerability in Windows Hyper-V. Most Windows machines are set to download and install updates automatically by default. If you haven't changed those settings, you should be fine. If you want to check how to do it, go to Commando.com and search for Microsoft Security Patches. You can find out everything fixed with this month's Patch Tuesday update and how to get it if you've previously turned everything off. This might be the coolest piece of smart technology around. A California company called Everview USA is making a smart bathroom vanity mirror, and it has more bells and whistles than you could possibly imagine. Of course, it functions as a basic mirror when it's powered down, but with a little bit of juice, the Kaio mirror turns into so much more. First, it has 2 TV screens built right into it, so you can keep an eye on news, weather, or binge watch whatever you'd like while you're getting ready. You can even control it with your voice, as Amazon's Alexa is also included. You can connect your smart devices, watch the latest news, get updates on your stocks, read the morning paper, or get the perfect lighting to put on makeup. If you have a home security system, you can even see who's at your front door. With Alexa, you're able to control other smart appliances as well, all while getting ready in the morning. Ever stub your toe trying to make your way into the bathroom in the dark of the night? Well, with this smart mirror, there's a night light that turns on automatically when you walk into the room. There's even a defogger that keeps it crystal clear after a nice hot shower. It comes in many sizes and prices. Choose a TV size from 12 inches all the way up to 98 inches. So it's perfect no matter how big or small your bathroom is. Just do a quick online search for Kaio to find out all the details. We have more tech news ahead, but now a quick thank you from our amazing partners at Indeed.
When it comes to hiring, you don't have to waste time. You need help getting to your short list of qualified candidates fast. That's why you need Indeed.com. Post a job in minutes, set up screener questions, then zero in on qualified candidates using an intuitive online dashboard. And when you need to hire fast, accelerate your results with sponsored jobs. New users can try for free at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms, conditions, and quality standards apply.
I'm sure you've heard many horror stories about ransomware over time. Last year was especially bad, with WannaCry and NotPetya variants spreading across the globe like crazy. Strangely, reports of massive ransomware attacks seem to be down lately. But don't let that fool you into a false sense of security. Criminals are still on the attack. They're just doing it in a more targeted way. Recent versions of ransomware attacks are more sophisticated and individually more lucrative than the wide-ranging ones of old. These attacks all have the same characteristics of the widespread variants like WannaCry, but they're being sent to specific targets working for small and medium-sized businesses. If the scammer successfully encrypts a company's critical system, it can bring the entire organization to a grinding halt. This happens more often than you hear about in the news. Many ransomware attacks go unreported. One of the more successful versions going around is called SamSam. It first appeared in 2015 and has made criminals over $6 million in ransoms since. The best way to avoid falling victim is to have strong passwords on all of your accounts and be cautious clicking on links in unsolicited messages. If your system does end up being hit with a ransomware attack, the FBI said never pay the ransom. There's no guarantee that if you pay the scammer, they will give your files back. Here's another frightening security threat that impacts both Apple and Windows users. A security researcher found a flaw in both Safari and Microsoft's Edge browser a few months ago, and it's very tricky. It would allow the URL of a safe website to be displayed in your address bar while you're actually being taken to a different site. And of course, that site could be malicious and infect your gadget with malware. How it works? You click on a link to a malicious site that is pretending to be something else. The flaw allows JavaScript to update the address bar while a page is still loading, making it seem that you're going to go to a safe page when in fact you're headed to a different one altogether. There is good news for Windows people, though. The researcher told both companies about the flaw, and Microsoft fixed it last month. Apple, on the other hand, has not addressed the problem yet, so be careful if you're using Safari. It's always safer to type a website's address directly into the address bar than clicking a link from an email or a search result. So keep doing that. As they say, it's better to be safe than sorry. This totally grossed me out. A man recently rented out his luxury San Francisco home through Airbnb, and the whole experience turned into a nightmare. That's because the person who rented it for nearly 3.5 months completely trashed the place. After the renter checked out, the property manager of the $5 million home went to check it out. What he found was shocking. The house was littered with garbage, used needles, and human waste. Yes, you heard that right. The property manager told a local Fox News station he found empty bottles, bent spoons, open containers, tons of full garbage cans, and needles throughout the entire living space. Apparently, the home was used as a safe place for the renter to shoot up with heroin. Airbnb is now working with the homeowner to help file a claim under the $1 million host guarantee. That seems to be about $4 million short of what they paid. Have you got one of those handy smart speakers yet? Amazon, Apple, and Google all have different ones to choose from that let you interact with Alexa, Siri, or the Google Assistant. They have become very popular these days, and nearly 1/3 of all U.S. households have them. But that number is expected to skyrocket by the end of the year. It's predicted that more than half of U.S. consumers will own a smart speaker after this year's holiday season, which is when sales for them really pick up. A recent survey done by Adobe Analytics shows that people are becoming more comfortable with talking to virtual assistants and doing more with them than in the past. Most people are still using them for common things like listening to music and getting weather forecasts, but more and more activities are being used all the time. For example, people are doing online searches, making calls, shopping, and ordering items, and even doing research on hotels and flights. If you haven't tried using one yet, you really should look into it. I can't wait for it to be able to start making my dinner. Do you remember that egg-shaped toy that was immensely popular in the 90s called Tamagotchi? Well, if you were a fan, I have great news. It's making a comeback in a big way. The toy maker is riding the wave of nostalgia that has been sweeping the nation the last couple of years. Other toys like Nintendo's NES and Super NES flew off the shelves the day they were released. People couldn't get enough of the classic video games that they played as a child. Tamagotchis will be available for pre-order at the end of the month and retails for just under $20. You will have plenty of options too, as it comes in 8 new colors and 8 vintage styles. The toy was originally released in Japan before catching on as a massive hit in the US a little more than 20 years ago. If you don't remember or never had one, it's a handheld digital pet that lets users hatch and raise their own digital characters. So if you were really into the 90s, it might be time to break out that flannel shirt, throw on some Nirvana, and get yourself a digital pet. It could be totally banging. By the way, once you're done listening to our podcast, do us a favor and give us a good rating on wherever you're listening to us. Write a few good words so others can find our podcast more easily. We'd really appreciate it. Finally, for today's Commando Kicker. Do you remember Dorothy's red slippers from the iconic movie The Wizard of Oz? Yes, those red sequined ones. They were actually stolen from Judy Garland's museum in 2005, with little to no clues to go from. The crime left police stumped for over a decade. The only thing that was left was one lone red sequin. But the FBI recently announced the ruby slippers have been recovered and are now safely back where they belong, because there's no place like home. For more fun and interesting facts, go to Commando.com and search for Commando Kicker. That's our tech news today from Commando.com, and special thanks to our great partners at Dell.
As a business owner, I rely on Dell Small Business Technology Advisors. I'm Kim Commando. Now, you and I both know there's nothing small about our businesses. Our reputation is always on the line, and that's where the Dell Small Business Technology Advisors come in. Reliable Dell PCs with Intel Core processors are rock solid. That means you can focus on getting business done. Call 877-BUY-DELL. That's 1-877-BUY-DELL.